into Monday, and with that, temperatures rising as well. Whatever you're up to, have a lovely evening.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
You've won £54,321.
Please don't joke. This would change my life.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GBNews.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
The criminal gangs.
111,000 people claimed asylum in Britain in the last year.
Well, we've already increased the deportation of foreign criminals by 14% since the election. We're determined to go further. We know that too often cases are held up by dragged-out appeals.
Well, the figure's up 14% under Labour. Afghans, Eritreans, Iranians, Syrians, the Sudanese, they're the top 5 small boat arrivals. Also,
the sentence on count 1, therefore, is one of 31 months' imprisonment.
Lucy Connolly is free today, but I look at some of the monsters who avoided jail while she was sentenced to 31 months. Plus, Axel Rudiker-Barner has been given more privileges in prison just to try to keep him happy. Also, well, a rail union has announced more strikes despite their bumper pay rise. Also,
I'm nice and cold.
I did a test with them and they all got U's.
I'm not good at maths.
So apparently we've got the worst GCSE pass rates for maths and English in a decade. Why is that? On my panel tonight we have got Reform Councillor in Essex, Jamie McIver, former Conservative advisor Lauren McEver, and former Labour advisor Matthew Larser. And can you guess what's going on here?
My ancestors built the land of Great Britain. My ancestors built the land of Kubala and made it the most beautiful land.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. A rapist walked free while Lucy Connolly got 31 months. Next.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom just after 9 o'clock. Well, the top story tonight, Lucy Connolly, jailed after posting a tweet in the wake of the Southport killings, has today been released from prison. The 42-year-old from Northampton was given a 31-month sentence last year, serving 40% before being freed from HMP Peterborough. Her case has divided opinion. Critics call the punishment excessive, while ministers and judges said her post risked inciting serious violence. Connolly will now serve the rest of her sentence on licence under probation supervision. In other news, Britain's third largest steelworks has collapsed today into government control, throwing 1,500 jobs into jeopardy. A High Court judge ruled Speciality Steel UK hopelessly insolvent, with just £600,000 in the bank against a monthly wage bill of £3.7 million. The Rotherham and Sheffield plants will now be run by the government while a buyer is sought. Creditors say liquidation is the only way to restart steel production, but the company insists the move is irrational and is still hoping to buy the business back. Unions, though, call it another tragedy for UK steel after years of decline. Kemi Badenoch has accused Labour of stalling progress on asylum hotels. That's despite the latest Home Office figures showing that numbers are down from their peak. The Conservative leader says all reductions happened before last year's election and claimed that at that pace, if it had continued, she says there would be no more asylum hotels today. New data shows more than 32,000 asylum seekers were still housed in hotels up until the end of June. That's up 8% on a year ago. Well, the figures also reveal a record number of asylum claims, though officials say cases are being processed faster. Well, earlier today we got the thoughts of Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp. Take a listen.
Labour has lost control of our borders. The number of illegal immigrants crossing the Channel has surged under Labour. It's gone up by 47% since the general election. This year so far has been the worst ever, and because of Labour's border crisis, we're seeing people still being accommodated in these hotels. But now councils are fighting back, led by Conservative-run Epping, and we're now calling on other Conservative councils to look at legal challenges as well, and many are doing so, including Broxbourne next door.
A US hitwoman has been jailed for 30 years after flying to Britain to carry out a failed assassination in Birmingham. 45-year-old Amy Betro travelled from Wisconsin in 2019 as part of a violent family feud. She ambushed businessman Sikander Ali outside his home, but when she pulled the trigger, her gun jammed and he escaped. Betro later fled the country, sparking an international manhunt, and detectives say it was only by luck that her victim wasn't killed. And the GCSE pass rate has slipped slightly this year, with 67.4% of grades in England, Wales and Northern Ireland hitting a standard pass of 4 or C and above. While the proportion of top marks has edged up, exam chiefs say the system is now facing a resit crisis, with a record number of teenagers having to retake English and maths. But fewer than 1 in 5 are passing on that second attempt. Meanwhile, the gender gap has narrowed to its lowest level on record, and the regional divide has also shrunk. But education leaders are warning the COVID generation is still carrying the cost of disrupted schooling as calls grow for reform of compulsory resits. That is the news on GB News for now. I'll be back with an update at 10. Now, though, it's over to Patrick.
Good evening. Lucy Connolly is a free woman, but she should never have been sent to prison in the first place.
Lucy Connolly, you pleaded guilty to the offence of distributing material with the intention of stirring up racial hatred. The sentence on count 1, therefore, is one of 31 months' imprisonment.
She got 31 months after mistakenly pleading guilty to one count of inciting racial hatred. She said she did not know what she was pleading guilty to. People on the left say, oh, well, why did she plead guilty? Why did she plead guilty? Well, I'll tell you why I think. I think she got terrible legal advice. Like I said, she's on record saying that she didn't know that. When she pleaded guilty, she was admitting that she intended to incite violence. Now, her post read, mass deportation now, set fire to all the F hotels full of the Bs, for all I care. If that makes me racist, then so be it. Now, look, obviously, I don't think anyone's condoning what she said, but it was online for just 3.5 hours before she deleted it and apologised. Now, her son tragically died around 14 years ago, apparently, and news of the murders, the massacre in Southport, had caused a resurgence of the anxiety caused by her son's death. By the way, today, it's emerged that Southport's massacre monster, Axel Rudikabana, has been given more privileges in prison in a bid to try to keep him happy behind bars. It's all a bit perverse, isn't it, this? Anyway, Lucy Connolly is out now, but let's have a little look, shall we, at some of the hardened criminals who spent less time in prison, or none at all, actually, for significantly worse offences.
What do you say to your victims, Hugh Edwards?
Ex-BBC Hugh Edwards swerved jail despite being a card-carrying paedophile. A convicted child rapist avoided jail owing to the prison overcrowding crisis in 2023. Reece Newman was jailed for 2 years after being convicted of the historic rape of a child under the age of 14. And then we've also got Daniel Ashbrook, who was found to have been mentally, physically and emotionally abusive to a woman over a 3-year period. He was given 21 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. Then we've got Mansour Khan, was a top NHS consultant, a father of 4, and was deemed, quote, a pillar of society, before he was, of course, found with more than 100 abhorrent and perverted images of children on his phone. Khan was spared jail at his sentencing in 2023. He's handed 8 months, suspended for 2 years. Charles Cannon was convicted of 7 charges of possessing terrorist information, was sentenced to 18 months in prison, suspended for 2 years. I could go on and on and on here. Lucy Connolly got terrible legal advice, in my opinion, anyway, and fell victim to a political judicial system that was, again, in my view, lent on by the Prime Minister.
And I'm now expecting substantive sentencing before the end of this week. That should send a very powerful message.
Here is a picture of Lucy Connolly. And there you go. And I think that she has now become the face of two-tiered justice in Britain. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We are joined this evening by Reform Councillor for Essex, Jamie McIver, former Conservative advisor Lauren McKevitt, and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. Jamie, I'll start with you on this. You know, there just seems to be an inconsistency here when you look at some of those out-and-out wrong-uns who've avoided prison, whereas Lucy Connolly was sentenced to 31 months.
Well, I agree. We've got a lawless country at the moment. We've seen that everywhere we go. But the worst thing about this is a mother with children. This is someone that's had trauma in her life. This is someone that clearly relies, not a legal expert, somebody that relies on legal advice. And I clearly can see here that poor Lucy, in a vulnerable position, was probably made to plead guilty, told something like, the case is clean cut, and she has been fundamentally let down by that legal advice, and I think that's been the same with a lot of the people that are in prison. Obviously, what she said was inappropriate, but frankly, deleting it and apologising, I think, would be enough. And
it was worse than inappropriate, Jamie.
No, it was. It was an awful thing that she said, and I'm never going to defend what she said, but if you look at some of the people in this country, vile, disgusting people that actually don't deserve to be in this country, some of these people, and we at the British state let them get away with it. Our justice system lets them get away with it, because if you walk into court and are found guilty of some of those vile crimes and then you walk out again and you get to go and see your family, a suspended sentence means you get to go home and sit on a sofa with your family. Lucy hasn't been able to do that, and that is wrong. And that is wrong because what she did was nowhere near as bad as some of the other crimes that take place in this country.
Is that not demonstrably true, in the sense that what she did was nowhere near as bad as some of the people who we've just rattled off there who walked free?
I think what she did, she didn't pull a gun on anybody. She didn't commit an act of violence. But the charge that she came up for, which is inciting racial violence, I think is fairly clear within the words that she put out into the public domain. However, she deleted it, she apologised, and the two-tier justice thing here, from my point of view, is an access to justice issue, because we had a free speech guy who did not plead at all last week, went to a jury trial, and a jury of his peers found him innocent.
Yeah.
Now, I strongly suspect that had Lucy not bowed to pressure about being told she wouldn't get bail and all of that, had she had legal advice that said, take it to trial, free speech at trial will probably do better than it will under a judge, I think that with a jury of her peers, we'd be having a very different conversation. Now, if a jury of her peers had said, yes, you incited racial violence, you are guilty.
Well, that's that.
Then that is completely different. But the pleading out within the justice system is problematic, but it is a feature of not having enough prisons. And my party cannot, within one breath, start talking about Lucy Connolly on one hand, and in the next, start campaigning in Essex against prisons being built.
Yeah, well, quite. Yeah, no, I agree. Your party's being the Conservatives.
Yes, absolutely.
For me, again, it comes down to that particular moment in time when the country was, massive. Well, it's a powder keg that had gone off a bit, actually, wasn't it, at that moment in time? And the Prime Minister was there saying, he's now expecting substantive sentences to send a clear message out. And you got Lucy Connolly there, who basically was just a normal woman who may or may not have had a little glass of wine and tweeted something inappropriate or whatever she's done, for which she's deleted and for which she's apologised. Getting that legal advice there with the fear of God being put into her, without it being made clear to her that she was pleading guilty specifically to that charge of intent, basically, intending to whip up racial hatred. I find that absolutely wild. I just find it terrible legal advice.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. The legal advice, from what we know of it, sounds to be pretty terrible. And I absolutely agree that she should have gone to a jury trial, and then we would have seen what happened. Clearly, particularly with these free speech issues, jury trials, I think, are important, particularly important for these sorts of cases, because it is, the importance of what somebody said needs to be judged by people, frankly, who are part of the audience.
There's a huge amount of pressure, though, man. This I think drill down on. Keir Starmer saying that at the time, I don't think that judge didn't have to, for example, sentence to 31 months.
Well, there are sentencing guidelines in place for each of these, and part of the difficulty that we have here, and what a conversation we should be having, is why are sentencing guidelines for rape so appalling? Yeah. And why are sentencing guidelines for issues like a tweet not, quite as stringent as this? Very clearly, we shouldn't have paedophiles out on licence as soon as their case is over. Very clearly, someone who has deleted and apologised and pled out should not be going away when we have a prison space crisis. But what we need to be talking about here is the sentencing guidelines that are in place for these charges. And the Justice Secretary, to give her credit, she's probably one of the best Conservative Justice Secretaries we've had in the last 14 years, has hauled the Sentencing Council over the coals and seems to be intent on changing a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do have serious qualms, Jamie, about the actual state of the legal profession. So Ricky Jones, the Labour councillor, former Labour councillor, suspended Labour councillor, found not guilty. Now
by a jury.
By a jury. Now, whatever anyone thinks about that is a verdict that we all have to accept because it's gone to jury trial, right? However, with Lucy Connolly, she's on record saying that she basically did get bad legal advice. There was another bloke who's a former Royal Marine, he was a Welsh guy, got initial legal advice, plead guilty, you're going to be in all sorts of trouble here, then got the Free Speech Union involved, pleaded not guilty, and a jury of his peers found him not guilty in 17 minutes. That's all it took to acquit him. It just feels to me like if you're on the left, the legal advice might be like, oh, go to a jury. If you're on the right, you've got a view about immigration, it's like, you better plead guilty because you're going down, mate.
Well, I've got the best example of this from Epping. So there we are, peacefully protesting to close a hotel. Far-left thugs get escorted in, and they're shouting for a serving Member of Parliament to be burnt alive. I reported that to 3 police officers on the night, 2 since. I actually contacted the Chief Constable about it, and nothing has happened. I haven't even been asked if they can have the photo of the person that did it.
Yeah.
And then you look at how some of the so-called far-right mums were behaving. Get out the road or you're going to be arrested. We're putting a section so-and-so whatever in on the pavement if you stand on it. You know, this is the problem in this country. If you're on the left, you get away with it, and if you're on the right, you don't.
The other kick in the knackers, Matthew, is that today it's emerged that Axel Rudy-Cabana has been given a TV back in prison and various different other prison privileges in a bid to try to keep him happy. You know, the timing of that, given that Lucy Connolly, in the wake of what happened in Southport, has served a lengthy time behind bars, and he's being treated like he's in a Hilton.
Well, I mean, I think I'm not sure that just having a TV is. I mean, look, he's obviously an absolutely reprehensible individual. You know, I'm quite surprised he isn't in a padded cell rather than in a cell with a TV. I don't think it's a case of two-tier justice. And what I want to say is Patrick, if you believe that the legal advice was bad, that means we need to put more money into legal aid. Because frankly, what you get in these cases is a very tired, very harassed solicitor.
Very left-wing, maybe.
Who is probably not a free speech specialist.
He probably isn't a free speech specialist. And I suspect, I don't know, but some of those who may have more experience, you know, the guy who was the suspended Labour councillor probably knew the system a bit better because he was a councillor and he said no. You know, he may have overridden his legal advice. I don't think every lawyer is trying to get their clients jailed. What I think they're trying to do is just get through those huge number of cases they've got because the legal aid system is collapsing.
Axel Rudy-Cabana should never, ever, ever be allowed to watch TV ever again. Those poor families will never be able to watch TV with those little girls ever again. Those little girls will never be able to watch TV again. That man should never be able to watch TV. And frankly, I'd rather write a cheque to Donald Trump and put him in the worst prison in America, where he'd actually get some justice treatment for those poor families, than have the British state have to pay a penny more towards... TV is a luxury. You know, there's families in this country that can't afford to put the telly on. They can't afford to have a TV licence. You know, what a state we're in.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I imagine, I don't know this, I imagine that Lucy Connolly was probably at some point when she's, you know, gathered herself and settled outside of it, going to do a media round, I would have thought. And
by the way, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact she's a woman.
Oh, go on.
And there's more space in the female prison system.
Interesting. OK.
So there are fewer female prisoners, we know that. We have been actively, as a Conservative government previously, a Labour government now, mostly trying to get women out of the prison system because for the most part, they are not in for violent crime, they are in for non-payment of bills, they are in for non-payment of television licences. So there is a move towards getting them out of prison. There is more space in the prison footprint for women than there is for men. I don't think a man would have gone to prison for it.
OK, all right, well, there we go. Right, now, we're going to draw a very distinct line between that really quite heavy set of topics that we've just done there and maybe just give you a little bit of light relief, because Doogie Beattie has been about for us, hasn't he? We've sent him off to Benidorm and, well, I mean, forgive me, Doogie, but it looks like you're doing quite well for yourself. What's happening?
Well, I'm doing all right tonight, haven't I? Yeah, Nolan's playing on the background. And look, last night, one of your guests said, oh, Benidorm, that's a lad's holiday. Oh, I tend to disagree. Look at this lovely set of ladies. Yeah. And they're here on a hen weekend. Here's the hen.
Hi.
When are you getting married?
In 2 weeks, we get married.
And is this the husband? This
is my husband, Jim Harris.
And Jim has let you run around Benidorm on your own?
Yeah, baby!
Have you ever considered that maybe Jim's not the smartest man?
No, I think he is smart, because he's marrying me.
Who's on in Benidorm? Stays in Benidorm. Girls, how often have you been in Benidorm?
No.
Think?
OK, I'm sorry, we think we might have lost Doogie in the house. Possibly for the best, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll be able to get Doogie back up again at some point soon. But look, we wanted to just go out to Benidorm and speak to start with the British holidaymakers who are out and about there and get their views on various current affairs issues as well, although not in the evening, to be fair. But there we go. Well, anyway, talking a bit of light relief, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is nuts. So, coming up, an African king claiming to be the Jewish Messiah has been evicted from a woodland camp in the Scottish borders. Yep, you're not taking something, you're not tripping, this is real, after declaring that Scotland is the true Jerusalem.
I'm nice and cold.
I did a test with them and they all got U's.
I'm not good at maths.
But as that clip shows you, up next we're talking about GCSE pass rates in English and Maths. They've hit their lowest in over a decade. But what's going on? Is it tougher exams? Are kids thicker? Stay tuned.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date. Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight. What's going on with the state of kids' education? It's time for our new head-to-head. So GCSE pass rates for English and Maths have fallen to their lowest level in more than a decade. Just 58.3% of pupils passed Maths this year, while English dropped to 60.2%. Can I just say, that's mad, isn't it? Because we're in England. It's the worst result since 2004. The decline is driven by record numbers of 17-year-olds retaking exams and failing. I mean, that's even worse. Flipping, huh? With fewer than 1 in 5 securing a pass. Could it be anything to do with slang terms like skibbity and delulu being added to the dictionary? Are we basically in verbal decline? But are kids maybe just getting thicker? Are the exams getting harder? Could it be that maybe we've got large numbers of children in Britain now who don't speak English? Joining me now to debate this is Neil Hamilton, former Conservative and UKIP politician, and political strategist Pablo Ohana. Thank you very much, chaps. Neil, I'll start with you. What's going on then? Are kids getting thicker?
No, I think it's unlikely there's some kind of genetic defect that's suddenly developed since I was in school. But I do think that we now live in a culture of mediocrity and decline. And, kids are no longer told that you're useless and you need to shape up, because that will hurt their feelings, and God forbid you should ever do that. But also we got a culture in which kids today don't count because they've got calculators. They can't do mental arithmetic, which we did in my day. I know that's an immensely long time ago when I was in school. And also with social media and emails, nobody writes formal letters anymore, so grammar and punctuation and so on go out of the window. And so I think all these basic skills to make yourself comprehensible have really gone by the board. And teachers are encouraged by the kind of standards that they're taught in teacher training colleges and so on, not to go against the tide of this, but in fact to encourage it. Because whereas in my day we were encouraged to look upwards, now we look downwards.
OK, and Pablo, as far as I understand it anyway, roughly 40% of kids failed English, GCSE. How can that even be possible?
Well, I think the real problem isn't some sort of fluctuating exam results. The real problem is our education structure. It is really narrow. It's a narrow academic sort of motorway that forces everyone through the same sort of two toll booths as English and maths. And it traps students through this kind of like endless research treadmill. I had to do my maths GCSE 4 times before I passed.
I can get that. By the way, can I just say, I do have some, so I really do struggle with numbers. I don't read them well on a page. They get all jumbled up and things like that. So I am very sympathetic towards that. And to an extent...
that's a system failure, right? That's not the
pupils.
Not
really. I mean...
That's why we wonder why so many disengage, but we should be allowing interest to drive efforts. So we should let, their interests and their passions lead. Of course, you've got to keep the standards. Everyone needs basic literacy and maths. We know that. But beyond that, give them room to sort of build an education and ultimately a life that fits who they are and the jobs that exist. We can't just keep sort of shoving them into these two groups and expecting everyone to excel in them.
Look, Neil, I'll bring you in now. I can hear some people shouting at their television screens going that, some people have got dyslexia and all that. Not 40% of kids. I mean, this is... What can be a possible excuse for 40% of children failing English?
Of course, can it possibly be that the system is failing them and the culture which the system perpetuates? I went to an old-fashioned state grammar school, and all right, it was only sort of 10-15% of kids who went to those schools. But instead of looking up to the schools like the one I went to, which were very good, I grew up in a working-class area in the mining valleys of South Wales, and so I didn't have any kind of sort of Eton background, but I learned the basic skills of how to get on in life through that school, and that's what we should be trying to do for kids today. Of course, basic skills in English and numeracy are absolutely vital to success in the world. Yes, all right, you've got all the modern technology, which in informal situations means you can get by without being able to do all these calculations yourself, or indeed even make yourself comprehensible, because with artificial intelligence now you can do anything. But if you're to make your own way in the world, I think you do need these basics, and that's where we're failing.
OK. There is also, clearly, changes in the use of language. We mentioned some of the words previously there, slang words, really, that are now very, very commonly used. And I hear it, especially walking around London, for example, people who are just basically talking, it's pretty much like code, as far as I can tell. I think we've got a couple of examples of some of this guff.
What in the Ohio Sigma is that? I'm the Rizzler. Her aura's at like 100. Go bussin'. You are proper sus. That slaps. What's your vibe check? Jeez, the cap, no cap? No cap. Simp.
Yeah, now they've failed their English GCSE. At what point do we have to blame the teachers, Pablo? This might be quite an uncomfortable thing for you on the left here, but, aren't the teachers to blame here?
I think it's the curriculum. I think we have to have a curriculum that allows our students to flourish. And, I work really closely with a charity that works to fix the education gap for kids that are struggling with the curriculum. And there are so many. I mean, I was one of them, as I've said before, that really I couldn't get into the curriculum. I've done fine. I now work with senior politicians. I've worked on a presidential campaign. I run a business. That's great for me. I managed to kind of carve a career despite doing pretty poorly in my GCSEs and A-levels. But we've got to find a way in which teachers can deliver lessons and curriculum that actually works across all different students' interests. Just forcing kids into these two, focusing on English, focusing on maths, focusing on, Ofsted, for example, scrap Ofsted, they're no use to anybody. Ditch this obsession with exams and give students real projects. Allow them to focus on what they're good at, engage in meaningful
Well, what they're good at is claiming
that
benefits a
covers
lot of the
the
time,
basics.
Pablo, isn't it? I mean, we've got huge record numbers of young people coming out of school claiming benefits, and at some point they're going to have to learn that it's not the world's fault, it's theirs. And, this is it. You can't fail your GCSEs, fail English, not bother to speak the language of the country that you're in, and then come out of school and sit on your backside and claim benefits. At some point, it's not the curriculum, it's the kids, isn't it, Neil?
Yeah, you should be Education Secretary, Patrick. I think that's absolutely right. And we don't do kids any favours, by indulging these characteristics which are going to get in the way of them getting on in life. Of course, I know plenty of people who've made their way in life without having any real formal education or discipline at school. If you're a real entrepreneur, you'll get through anyway. But most kids are not like that, and we do a great disservice, so particularly to those who are at the lower end of the income scale, and their families don't have the opportunities that you give them of the middle class families. We really need to make up for the privations that they suffer in life economically, and our system, I think, is desperately failing those people most of all.
All right, well, look, both of you, thank you very, very much. A range of views there, Pablo and Neil, tremendous stuff. And look, I will say, if you got your GCSE results today, I'd hope it went well for you. If it didn't go well for you, it is not the end of the world. I will just say this. No one asks to see your GCSE results, ever. They might for like the next 2 years. That's it. No one ever does. You'll go for a job, no one will ever ask you, what did you get in your GCSEs? And if it makes you feel better, my worst one was biology, and when it said name the parts of the plants, I just called them like Clive and Derek, and I flunked out of that. And I nearly said I've done all right, but I think the jury's out on that. Thank you very much. Right, OK. Hey, tell you what, if you really have nosedived your GCSEs, you might be able to enter this and all your problems will go away, because it's your chance to win a mortgage or rent-free year. Yes, that's right, plus a bonus £5 in the bank. It's the latest Great British giveaway. And guess what? If you haven't got a mortgage or rent to pay, we'll just give you £15,000. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
It's just 3 weeks to see how you can win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. Make sure you don't miss out, as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Coming up, well, the RMT union has announced 7 days of rolling walkouts across London. More train strikes, but next...
Usher us to the promised land, here in the holy land of Scotland, the land of the ancestors, the land of King David.
I am not making this up. An African king claiming to be the Jewish Messiah has been evicted from a woodland camp in the Scottish borders after declaring Scotland the true Jerusalem.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hot and sunny conditions continue across much of Spain and Portugal. A few heavy showers likely in Croatia. And a fairly brisk wind blowing in Sardinia. Quite breezy too in southern parts of Portugal. But most of Spain and Portugal dry, fine and sunny. Just a small chance of a shower in Ibiza. Much greater chance of seeing some heavy showers across Croatia. Fine and sunny for most of the Greek islands and Turkey. That will continue through the weekend as well. Goodbye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now as we go through the next 24 hours, it's a case of chasing the cloud, because where it clears overnight it's going to turn a little chilly, and where it clears tomorrow it's going to be quite warm in the sunshine. Currently there is high pressure of sorts to the west of the UK. This is keeping things pretty settled. It has also brought that northerly flow down the North Sea, which has led to a bit of a chilly feel around eastern parts through today, and it's also leading to a fair bit of cloud across central and eastern parts overnight, albeit parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent, having some clear skies. Also clear skies for western parts of Scotland, Wales, maybe southwest England, and under these clear skies temperatures could drop in rural spots to low single figures, but most places under the cloud holding up in double digits, and some milder, cloudier, perhaps even damper weather pushing across Northern Ireland later on in the night. Starting off tomorrow morning, where we get the clear skies overnight, there could be some mist and fog patches first thing, but these will quite quickly clear. Otherwise it's a bright start for some, but quite cloudy in a few other places. Cloudy across Northern Ireland, much of Northern England, and across central and eastern parts of Scotland, quite a cloudy start. A bit brighter towards western parts of Scotland, albeit with a few showery outbreaks around the Western Isles perhaps. Then, as we go through tomorrow, I'm expecting some of the cloud to break up, so most of us should see some bright, if not sunny spells developing. Not everywhere though, cloud staying quite persistent across parts of Northern Ireland and down the eastern side of Northern England, and perhaps eastern parts of Scotland too. Where the cloud does clear though, temperatures should rise relatively nicely. We're looking at highs around 23, possibly 24 Celsius, so feeling warm, perhaps a bit warmer than today. Then as we go into Saturday and the start of the long bank holiday weekend, there could be a few showery bursts, particularly across some western parts, but most places staying dry, and there will be some decent sunny breaks on offer as well. Perhaps more sunshine developing as we go through Sunday and into Monday, and with that, temperatures rising as well. Whatever you're up to, have a lovely evening.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Coming up, tube strikes are back, but first, an African king whose tribe have given him offerings of iron brew and shortbread claims to be a Jewish messiah and has now, sadly, been evicted from his Scottish camp. Yep, that's right. A man claiming to be an African king and also the Jewish messiah has been booted out of a camp in an area of Scottish woodland. Shall we have a little look?
My ancestors built the land of Great Britain. My ancestors built the land of Kubala and made it the most beautiful land of all the nations.
It's just so calm right now in our kingdom. My Lord husband, the king, on his throne as usual, waiting for his dinner. And Asnat made dinner for us tonight. Normally the king cooks, but she made it very nice. Asnat, what have you made?
I made some cheesy creamy pasta with lots of chilies. We love our chilies in Kubala. And I boiled some eggs and we have baguettes.
Lots to go at there. King Tahini, the man formerly known as Kofi Ofe, a Ghanaian opera singer, was staying in tents with his Ghanaian wife, Queen Nandi, of course, and their handmaid, Asnat. Asnat is also known as Quara Taylor, an American woman whose family have previously reported her missing from her home in Texas. Now she's been found. I wonder how her family feel about her being found in the kingdom of Kubala.
I am the handmaid of Queen Nandi. I am the inferior mistress, and I also play as a surrogate for the queen. I'm also the bondwoman of the queen. which means I do not have the formal title of a wife, but he is my husband.
Well, I bet Mum and Dad are delighted. Anyway, sadly, all three have now been evicted by the local council, and a spokesperson for the Scottish Borders Council said, "We've been working with Police Scotland in relation to an illegal encampment by 3 occupants on council-owned property at Hartrig near Jedburgh. This has included the provision of advice and information about housing options and other support services." So the evicted king is not happy. He says, "The Kingdom of Kabbalah has suffered trials and tribulations at the hands of the authorities who do not understand or tolerate. But the Kingdom of Kabbalah cannot be destroyed, for we are helped by the Creator of the heavens and the earth, our God. Until then, no one will be able to destroy the Kingdom of Kabbalah." I'm joined now by writer and commentator Dean Thompson. Dean, thank you very much. I take it you weren't tempted to join the Kingdom of Kabbalah?
No, I don't think so, Patrick. Thanks for having me on again.
Thank you. Well, look, bit weird this then. What's gone on here?
Well, in a nutshell, we're dealing with a trio of fabulists who claim to be a lost African Hebrew tribe descended from King David, and black Jacobites who were expelled 400 years ago, and this is now a prophesized return. It's quite unusual. It's a sort of new age Afrocentric eco-primitivist movement, I suppose. Gasho insists that the 3 immigrants do not recognize our laws, which is interesting given the recent legal history they had with Teesside Crown Council, which dropped charges against them earlier this year. And the king's claim that they are connecting to nature is interesting. He's found loitering around the local co-op for the free Wi-Fi. So how's that for connecting to nature?
Sorry. So the King of Kabbalah, this long ancestor of King David himself, has been loitering around the local co-op to try and get hold of the free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting
Is that Old Testament? Sorry, just to check. Is that Old Testament? Is that? Must be.
Yeah, sure. It gets even more interesting because if we dig into their story, the time period of the claims are quite interesting. They claim to be evicted from Scotland by Elizabeth I. Now, the quicker amongst us will notice Queen Elizabeth I died in 1603, and the Glorious Revolution wasn't until 1688. So I don't see how the Jacobite element fits into their chronology. But this is a sort of classical, I don't know, persecution complex. They have claimed that their persecution by the local authorities is proof of the divine opposition they face. But I, for one, have never ever heard of the Scottish Borders Council being an instrument for the divine in my life.
No, quite. Yes. Do we know where they are now?
Well, they're shuffling about somewhere. They had come up from England and went over into near Jedburgh, and they're somewhere in the countryside of the borderlands. It's all very interesting, but as someone whose middle name is MacKinnon and did have Jacobite ancestors, I can assure everyone that the Jacobites were, given that they were Highland, Scots, Catholic, Irish, High Church English Tories, the idea that they were a lost tribe of Hebrews
or black Africans is what I think you're aiming at there. Yeah,
black Africans native to Scotland. Okay. And of course, Scotland is a known territory in Africa.
Yeah. That's all right. Look, Dean, thank you very much. I'll tell you what, I must say, I think we picked the right bloke for this topic. Thank you very much, mate. Dean Thompson there. Fantastic. Take care. All the best. Right, OK, coming up. The Home Office, on slightly more serious matters now. The Home Office basically wants to find 5,000 properties to house 20,000 migrants. But up next...
Come the workers!
Got a pay rise, striking again. A classic of the genre. Expect more tube strikes. Stay tuned. Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, you say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo Tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Well, tube strikes are back. The RMT union has announced 7 days of rolling walkouts across the London Underground and Docklands Light Railway from Friday, September the 5th. Some would say conveniently timed for just after the school holidays. The dispute is over pay, long shifts and working conditions. Now, TfL offered a 3.4% pay rise, but says that cutting the 35-hour week isn't affordable. One estimate puts the cost of a single strike at 14 million quid. It's a lot of money, that. Tube drivers earn around £67,500 a year, with 43 days leave and free travel perks. However, shifts can run from early morning to past midnight. Some shift patterns have seen people working for 17 weekends in a row, for example. During the initial 12 to 16 weeks of training, trainee drivers can still earn about £32,500 a year. The union warns that action will cause major disruption across the capital, which is obviously the point of it, isn't it? But there we go. Anyway, I'm joined now by a political commentator, trade unionist.
I am.
Trade unionist, Andy Twelves. Andy, why are the unions intent on making all of our lives so miserable?
Well, I don't think they are. I think they're standing up for working class people, fundamentally. I mean, if you're getting off shift at 2 a.m, you should not be expected to get back on shift at 6 or 7 a.m, fundamentally, particularly in these kind of sensitive jobs, whether it's signalling, tube driver, electricians. No, these are quite serious jobs. They're technical jobs. You shouldn't be fatigued when you work in them.
Class on £67,500 a year.
I mean, that's the top end of tube drivers. I mean, you know, an electrician wouldn't be paid that. A signaller wouldn't get paid that. I think classes probably goes beyond salary. I mean, you know, that's an entire academic debate about what class means. But it's by the by. I think the RMT are actually standing up for what's right here. You know, TfL have gone back on their written word about these shift patterns. They said that they were going to abolish the shift patterns where if you were on a late, you wouldn't work an early the next day. Right. If your boss had gone back on, you know, what they'd said to you about working shift patterns, you'd be pretty upset.
Well, I was funny you should say that because I tended to just do it actually. But 43 days leave, you get your sleep then, can't you?
43 days leave. I mean, that's on top. I mean, that's what bank holidays required annual. So it's actually what is it 6 days that they actually get that's a privilege? And it's 35.
43 days off work, mate. You can't.
43. Yeah, but fundamentally, if you're getting off shift at 2 a.m., you shouldn't be going back on at 6. That makes sense. That's not a controversial thing to say. You know, they say what the cost of the tube strike is 15 million
roughly
a day. That's how valuable they are to this capital. It's how valuable they are to this city. If TfL are going to be splitting hairs about shift patterns, it's costing TfL 15 million a day. That's how much they're worth. I think it's ridiculous that they're trying to, you know, make the case that workers should be working 2 a.m., 6 a.m.
They knew this was the case when they took the job, though, didn't they?
Well, I mean, yes and no. They weren't expecting.
It would be like Emily marrying me, right, and then being really disappointed that I'm not 6'4" and ripped. She knew what she was getting.
I suppose.
No, it's true.
Well, I mean,
so why should, you know,
I think the contracts probably say occasional weekend work, not 17 weekends in a row. 17 weekends in a row is pretty nuts. Particularly if you're working, you know, undesirable shift patterns on those as well. I mean, you know, let's not villainise these people. These are hard-working people.
It depends, though, doesn't it, really, mate? Because like, if you're working 17 weekends in a row, but then you get Wednesdays and Thursdays off, then that's your weekend, isn't it? So I used to work nights, so I used to finish at 6 a.m. But then 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. was my evening because those were the shifts. That's what it is.
Sure, I appreciate that. I think the contracts probably say occasional weekend work, I imagine is what it is.
Are they not just crying because they basically just want a load more money and they're willing to inconvenience people's lives?
Well, not really, because there's not really a pay demand. There's not a pay demand in this. TfL have tried to give them a pay...
It's the same level of pay for less work.
Well, TfL have tried to give them a pay demand... Well, they're asking for the shifts to be patterned differently, so you're not working back-to-back shifts on the kind of graveyard shift. That's what they're asking. You know, TfL have offered a pay increase to kind of subdue them and push them off the kind of scheduling. Okay. It's a scheduling issue.
Just quickly, what does Labour actually do about this? Because Labour is obviously in a uniquely awful position here, which the Tories weren't, which is that half of them are probably involved with the unions.
I mean, the RMT are a non-affiliated Labour union. They disaffiliated in, 2015, something like that. Sadiq Khan has been Mayor of London. He's been the Labour Mayor of London for the past 10 years, however long it's been. You know, he's had TfL strikes. I'm sure he'll...
He said there wouldn't be any.
I don't think he did. I think it'd be... I think Sadiq Khan promising no TfL strikes would be quite silly if he had said that.
I think he quite famously said there would be no strikes.
Oh, I think that's
Zero strikes promised, Greater London Authority, Sadiq Khan. He then goes on to say he's disappointed by what was at the time the continuing night tube strike. So,
well, I think that's probably bad.
Should he resign?
I don't think Sadiq Khan should resign. I don't think Sadiq Khan should resign. I think he's been a great Mayor of London. And TfL, actually, you know, we criticise the RMT union and the TfL. TfL is the greatest transport system in the UK, fundamentally. So I think we're quite... Yeah, it absolutely is. Come on.
Covered in graffiti, though, isn't it? I mean, grief. Anyway, but there we go. All right, thank you very much. Always a spirited discussion. Tremendous to see you. Right, next. Well, yes, I mean, it's obviously been Migrant Hotel chaos. That's been one of the big stories of the week, really. But now, in order to compensate for it, apparently, the Home Office is going to be looking to find 5,000 homes to fit 20,000 illegal migrants. Can you imagine if we had this same level of urgency for, I don't know, homeless veterans or, you know, pensioners who are in substandard accommodation? It seems absolutely remarkable, doesn't it? And Axel Rudiger-Barner has been given more privileges in prison to try to keep him happy. Stay tuned.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, it's a case of chasing the cloud, because where it clears overnight, it's going to turn a little chilly, and where it clears tomorrow, it's going to be quite warm in the sunshine. Currently, there is high pressure of sorts to the west of the UK. This is keeping things pretty settled. It has also brought that northerly flow down the North Sea, which has led to a bit of a chilly feel around eastern parts through today, and it's also leading to a fair bit of cloud across central and eastern parts overnight, albeit Parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent, having some clear skies. Also clear skies for western parts of Scotland, Wales, maybe southwest England. And under these clear skies, temperatures could drop in rural spots to low single figures, but most places under the cloud holding up in double digits, and some milder, cloudier, perhaps even damper weather pushing across Northern Ireland later on in the night. Starting off tomorrow morning, where we get the clear skies overnight, there could be some mist and fog patches first thing, but these will quite quickly clear. Otherwise, it's a bright start for some, but quite cloudy in a few other places. Cloudy across Northern Ireland, much of Northern England, and across central and eastern parts of Scotland, quite a cloudy start. A bit brighter towards western parts of Scotland, albeit with a few showery outbreaks around the Western Isles, perhaps. Then, as we go through tomorrow, I'm expecting some of the cloud to break up, so most of us should see some bright, if not sunny spells developing. Not everywhere, though. Cloud staying quite persistent across parts of Northern Ireland and down the eastern side of Northern England and perhaps eastern parts of Scotland too. Where the cloud does clear, though, temperatures should rise relatively nicely. We're looking at highs around 23, possibly 24 Celsius, so feeling warm, perhaps a bit warmer than today. Then, as we go into Saturday and the start of the long bank holiday weekend, there could be a few showery bursts, particularly across some western parts, but most places staying dry, and there will be some decent sunny breaks on offer as well. Perhaps more sunshine developing as we go through Sunday and into Monday, and with that, temperatures rising as well. Whatever you're up to, have a lovely evening.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you can win your mortgage or rent paid for a whole year. That's a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to a whopping £20,000. Plus, we'll add an extra £5,000 on top for good measure. Make sure you don't miss out as lines close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK. We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News. The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight,
The criminal gangs.
111,000 people claimed asylum in Britain in the last year.
Well, we've already increased the deportation of foreign criminals by 14% since the election. We're determined to go further. We know that too often cases are held up by dragged-out appeals.
Absolute rubbish. It's up 14% under Labour. Cracking set of lads. Afghans, Eritreans, Iranians, Syrians, the Sudanese, they are the top 5 small boat arrivals also.
The sentence on count 1, therefore, is one of 31 months' imprisonment.
Well, Lucy Connolly is free today, but I'm going to be having a look at the monsters who avoided jail while she was sentenced to 31 months. Plus, Axel Rudikabana has remarkably been given more privileges in prison just to try to keep him happy, and...
That's nice and cold.
I did a test with them and they all got U's.
I'm not good at maths.
Yeah, so apparently we got the worst GCSE pass rates for maths and English in a decade. But why is that? And in the Telegraph, we have got the front page has just landed. Britain is facing an autumn of discontent. There we go, and a lovely picture of Queen Camilla on the front. Find out what that is when we do all the papers. On my panel tonight, we've got Reform Councillor for Essex, Jamie McIver, former Conservative advisor, Laura McKevitt, and former Labour Party advisor, Matthew Larser. And, well, I'm just going to remind you of this.
My ancestors built the land of Great Britain. My ancestors built the land of Kubala and made it the most beautiful land.
Get ready, Britain, here we go. Well, the big news this evening is that the government is going to try to move illegals onto your street. Next.
Hello, very good evening to you from the newsroom. The top story tonight at 10. Well, Lucy Connolly, jailed for a post about asylum seekers on the day of the Southport murders, has today been released from prison. The 42-year-old, whose husband is a Conservative councillor, left HMP Peterborough this morning after serving 40% of a 31-month sentence. She had admitted inciting racial hatred after calling on social media for mass deportation and violence against migrant hotels. Her case has divided opinion. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch says her punishment was harsher than sentences for rioting, calling the law broken. Meanwhile, Reform UK's Nigel Farage branded her a symbol of what he called two-tier Britain. But the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has defended the courts, insisting free speech cannot cross into incitement of violence. Britain has summoned Israel's ambassador over a settlement plan condemned as a flagrant breach of international law. The UK, joined by 25 other nations, warned the West Bank move would cut across land Palestinians want for a future state and undermine any two-state solution. At the same time, Israel has called up 60,000 reservists and is preparing to expand its military operation in Gaza. Britain is also demanding that Israel opens Gaza to foreign journalists, saying that the restrictions and the high number of reporter deaths must be investigated. Well, the government borrowing figures have slowed sharply last month, falling to £1.1 billion in July. That is the lowest for 3 years. The Office for National Statistics says that £2.3 billion less than the same time last year and well below expectations. But looking at the bigger picture, borrowing over the first 4 months of the financial year has reached £60 billion. That's almost £7 billion higher than this point a year ago, showing the government's debt burden is still rising, even as short-term figures ease. A man has been charged with murder tonight after the fatal stabbing of an ice cream seller in northwest London. 41-year-old Shahzad Khan was attacked in Wembley on Tuesday and died at the scene. Police say 26-year-old Zahir Zarour is now charged with his murder, while a 31-year-old woman arrested for conspiracy remains in custody. Mr. Khan, known locally for his ice cream van with a teddy bear on display, leaves behind a wife and a young daughter. Detectives are appealing for witnesses and say extra patrols will be in the area. Tube staff are set to bring London to a all but standstill next month with a week of rolling strikes from the 5th of September. The RMT union says members will walk out across the Underground over pay, extreme shift patterns and fatigue, accusing bosses of a dismissive approach. Drivers, engineers, signallers and control staff will all take part in that action, though TfL insists it's offered a fair 3.4% pay rise and says cutting the 35-hour working week is neither practical nor affordable. The strike will also overlap with actions on the DLR, raising the prospect of widespread disruption across London's entire transport network. And the world's oldest living person has just celebrated, would you believe, her 116th birthday, and she's from Britain. Ethel Caterham, who lives in a Surrey care home, was born in 1909, 5 years before the First World War. She became the oldest person alive in May after the death of a Brazilian nun. Her family says she's marking the milestone quietly, surrounded by loved ones, so she can enjoy the day at her own pace. And she has definitely earned it. Those are the latest headlines. I'll be back with you in an hour.
Good evening. Labour is now trying to put 20,000 illegal immigrants in 5,000 homes across Britain. We've got veterans being evicted in Bolton, victims of domestic abuse living in shipping containers in London, but Yvette Cooper will bend over backwards for illegals. Get ready for some shocking statistics that came out today. The number of asylum seekers in Britain is at a record high. There are 111,000, that's up 14%. Illegal arrivals are up 27%. There were 49,000 in the year to July this year. We can add a few thousand more on top now that we're in late August. Channel migrants account for 88% of illegal entries. So just imagine that. If we stop the boats, we'd have 88% less illegal entries. Since January 2018, 3/4 of small boat arrivals were men, while only 16% were children. I mean, just say that again. Since January 2018, 3/4 of small boat arrivals have been men. And I actually believe of those that were children, quite a few are actually men as well. Does someone want to tell Labour's Darren Jones?
When there are babies and children put into that position by human trafficking gangs who are coming across in the Channel with skin burns from the oil from those boats mixing with the salt seawater, I would ask any of you to look at those babies and children and say, go back where you came from.
Yes, I mean, unfortunately for him, there's vanishingly small numbers of women and children, aren't there? The number of asylum seekers in hotels is up by 8%. We've got more than 32,000. Do you want to know what countries they've been coming from as well? Here's the top 5. Afghans, Eritreans, Iranians, Syrians and Sudanese. Well, in Finland, they've just done a study on whether migrants are a net benefit or a net cost to society. Shall we take a little look? Gosh, look at that. Migrants from the Middle East and North Africa are a huge net cost, and so are those from other non-Western countries. I mean, I don't know, but do you think that this lad could be a doctor or an engineer?
Should English people pay for you to have a house?
Maybe they give me house, they give me anything I can need, they give me.
Just give it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because people in England is perfect.
The government spent about 4.7 billion quid on the asylum system last year. That is apparently the equivalent of 16 million winter fuel payments. That's according to Professor Matt Goodwin of this parish online. Oh, and by the way, your energy bills are going up again in a couple of months. Nice, isn't it? Get a load of this. This is the legal visas we've handed out. Just 14% of long-term visas that we've handed out have been for people actually coming here to work. The rest are relatives, students, refugees, and now because dozens of local councils are fighting to get their migrant hotel closed, the government is looking at finding thousands of homes, possibly on your street, to put them up in. So you work hard, you pay your rent, your mortgage, you choose to live in a nice area, and wallop, in comes the government and potentially moves a load of small boat migrants in next door. This is the stuff of nightmares. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. Reform Councillor for Essex, Jamie McIver, former Tory advisor, Lauren McKevitt, and ex-Labour Party advisor, Matthew Larser. Yeah, Jamie, I mean, there's a lot of stats to go out there, by the way. They all kind of came in thick and fast. But, I mean, I think, firstly, the idea that the government is going to move, heaven and earth to try to find 5,000 new homes for 20,000 illegal migrants is pretty shocking. Really.
Well, it all comes down, in my opinion, to fairness. It's just unfair on the British people. It's unfair on people that are trying hard to buy a house and save. It's unfair on the taxpayer to have to foot the bill for this. It's also just unfair on communities too. We've seen with the hotels, it's the same with this. Just to dump people into these places, ultimately it's unsustainable. We have a housing crisis in this country as it is. Our own citizens can't get on the housing ladder, and forget buying a house. You can hardly rent a house these days because the Home Office are renting so many. So I think we've got a real unfairness issue here, but also the data proves it, doesn't it? All this idea that, from people on the left that say immigration is the best thing that a country can have. Not all immigration is good immigration. Illegal immigration to this country is bad for our country. It's bad for our economy. We've seen it ourselves. Finland don't need to tell us, although I'm grateful for the research. Yeah. It's very obvious to me that the unsustainability of the lack of control of our borders is killing our economy.
Yeah, I mean, on that, really, as well, there's this figure of 111,000 people sought asylum in the last year, up 14%.
So that statistic is really interesting, and I know we're playing statistic baseball here.
Yeah, go for it.
But there's another one that I heard this week, which is that of that figure, 34% are people who entered, or around 34% are people who entered by irregular or illegal routes and claimed asylum when they got here. So people who, have some form of desperation and are desperate to come from where they are coming from and get here and claim when they get here, right? It means that everybody else in that number came here legally and then, through another mechanism, claimed asylum.
Yep.
So students coming here legally as students and then claiming asylum. That is the chunk of that number that we have to see come down, because that is really clearly, if you're coming here as a student, you have the wherewithal to apply for a student visa and financially get here to begin with, claiming asylum at the end of that is not an option.
Yeah, well, quite. And actually, but that is the real Mickey take. I mean, there was an article that was doing the rounds, and we covered it last week, and please don't, I'm not going to say I've got the exact figure here, but it was something like 160,000 care workers had just basically vanished. So they'd got a care visa, and then they'd gone into other jobs, all claimed asylum once they'd got here. So this is what's happening. Matthew, look, with your Labour hat on here, how on earth does the government come to terms with this? They've made it more of a safe haven for illegal immigrants, haven't they?
Well, I don't think they've done anything in particular that has pushed the figures up. But we have to face facts, which is the reason that the Home Office is looking for 5,000 houses is because people want the hotels closed. Those that are currently in the hotels will have to go somewhere. Absolutely. Well, the problem is in some of these cases it is physically impossible to get people back.
Matthew.
He's not saying physically impossible. What he means is legally.
Well, it's also like, how are you going to get?
And we can do all of this.
Yeah, in terms of getting people back to Eritrea, it's very, very difficult. The answer is you have to get people back to the first European country that they enter, which is why.
While you remain in the ECHR. If you leave the ECHR, all of this alters.
But even if you leave the ECHR, what do you do? I mean, how do you just if Eritrea won't take people back, I'm just intrigued what people think we can do.
You elect a reform government,
and Jane, it's going to do nothing apart from put our taxes up.
No. You elect a reform government, we leave the ECHR, we detain and we deport. And I think it's very important.
Jamie, tell me, how are you going to get? Because it's all very nice to sort of have swagger reform does, that it's all going to wave a magic wand. But life isn't like that, Jamie. How are you going to get people back to Eritrea?
Put them on a plane.
A thing called the aviation industry.
Yes, and Jamie, they won't. Yeah, I don't think you were working for an airline that flew to Eritrea where there are where they will not accept return flights. Okay. So who's going to fly there? Just get a grip. It's so much more complicated. This idea you can wave a magic wand and it'll all be great because Nigel Farage is Prime Minister.
We've got no leverage over Eritrea.
We have got leverage.
We do. We have a lot of people here who belong to the Eritrean National Service and they want them back. Now, I think that's a fate worse than death, and I think that's a horrible thing to do. And I think we should have countries where there are some agreements with quotas, maybe, of the number of people who can come in here. And Eritrea, I think, would certainly be high up at that list. That is a failed state. It is a horrible state. However, that doesn't mean they get to come here. Stay in your country and fix your country.
And also, I get very frustrated when we have this conversation. We keep talking about these people as though they're asylum seekers. They are not asylum seekers. And we need to... It's actually... They're fraudulent to claim that label. They are illegal immigrants entering the country illegally.
So, Jamie, can I just check that under reform, there wouldn't be any... There'd be no route for anybody to seek asylum in this country. Is that correct?
I haven't said that.
No, I'm asking you, because that's the implication of what you're saying.
Right.
No, we need legal routes from point of origin.
Absolutely, but under reform, because it's the way we're going to magic wand, and Nigel Farage is going to stand in the middle of the English Channel and turn everybody back. It's nonsense, Jamie. It's a con. You're conning the British people.
Really not.
And look at the chaos in local government when reform does get power.
People have been conned by the Labour government who said they've smashed the gangs and they haven't. They're also being conned by people saying they're asylum
reform
seekers.
Don't have a policy.
Illegal economic migrants. It's very simple to me. An asylum seeker is someone that goes from a dangerous country into safety.
What will net migrate? What's reform's target for net migration? Oh, we haven't got one yet because we haven't come up with one. Because it's all smoke and mirrors. Zero. Okay. So it's zero. Okay, so what are you going to say to those British businesses who can't survive without that?
This is the problem, because that is a load of rubbish. We've got people in this country.
Come on, Jamie.
We've got people in this country that are on benefits that could be working because...
So you're going to be press-ganged into going out and pulling vegetables?
There are 600,000 graduates on universal credit at the moment, and they should be in employment. And if that employment does not relate to their degree, then tough.
Let's get back to the kind of headline figure out of what has been, I appreciate, a long list of figures that I've hit you with at 10 p.m. tonight. That idea that 5,000 homes are going to have to be found for 20,000 illegal migrants. If the government does that, I think that's going to have catastrophic consequences.
And it's the rental system that's going to struggle the most. People will be turfed out of rented housing where they've privately rented because the state will end up paying more for that rent, and it's probably legally possibly a more secure tenant because there is absolute right to recourse, etc. So it is the rented market that is going to suffer the most. And in addition to that, if Labour keep taxing everything to do with property, we are going to have a very, very big problem with ever having property move in this country again. We have to have movement in the property market. You have to be able to sell your home and make money out of it because that's just the way our economy has worked for 120 years. And if Labour start taxing in the budget in the autumn away from us being able to do that, while not reforming planning to the rate at which we actually get shovels in the ground and get more homes built, then yes, those 5,000 homes are going to come from the private rented sector, and it's going to be normal Brits coming out.
I mean, 5,000. I mean, look, we need to get the numbers down. We need a system that works. We don't have it, but we're not going to get a system that works by sloganeering. What we are going to get a system that works is by proper agreement. And one of the things we need to do is we need to stop people ever reaching here who have been through a safe European country where they could claim asylum.
Can we go back to the Chris Philp wave machine in the Channel there?
Well,
that was always my favourite.
But just honestly, I keep because in the short term, it does seriously look as though if these hotels, like the one in Epping, has to close the thing within 2 weeks, and let's just say last time there's something like 27 of the councils are doing this now. Let's assume that they know that there wasn't the right planning permission for this. They should know because they presumably will have at one point given the planning permission for the hotel. So these hotels are probably going to have to close. In the short term, how can this government justify being able to find 5,000 rental homes for illegal migrants when we have, frankly, any form of homelessness whatsoever that's already here? How can they do that?
Well, they can't. That's why you had the front page of the Telegraph, which you flashed up earlier, predicting an autumn of discontent. There's going to be a lot of discontent right across this country, and the government have proven over the course of the last 12 months that they are unable to deal with that.
I think you pick up the phone to Dame Andrea Jenkins, who got it right after she got elected as Mayor of Lincolnshire, and you start to put people in accommodation that is acceptable for British soldiers overseas, which is some sort of detention centres. That is what this country needs. In other words, they need to be put in tents. If it's good enough for a serving British soldier, then
it's somewhat colder in Lincolnshire in the winter than it is. I mean, you're going to see people die. I mean, it's just ludicrous. It's just nonsense.
Sorry, they don't moan about it in Glastonbury, do they?
If we were able to
I don't think Glastonbury in the middle of the summer, Jamie, is the same as Lincolnshire in the middle of December and January.
If we were able to build all of those Nightingale hospitals that quickly, why is it that we can't build a system of...
We might have to do that.
...country, and why aren't we putting shovels in the ground to do it? Because at the moment, we're spending more per mile of transportation on bats than we are on people.
Well, it's a crazy Tory policy, the bat tunnel.
In this country,
we've got rid of the bat tunnel.
The spout that we can't do that.
There are no bat tunnels under Labour.
The government's going to have to do something quick. This HMO option, I can see, and we're going to have to move on. But I can actually also just see from a purely safety aspect, you know. when there's hotels, you've got these ridiculous security guards a lot of the time that are wandering around there, but at least they're there. You know, HMOs just dotted around the country. I mean, you don't have security at those. You cannot have security at those. There was one guy who was the bloke, the Moroccan chap who travelled through 13 different countries before getting here, who stabbed a dog walker to death in Hartlepool. He was in an HMO. There's obviously no security there. So I mean, again, this is worse, isn't it? So I do wonder if we're going to end up seriously with these Nightingale detention centres, whether that's the only solution, which is possibly quite bad news for what was it, the Excel Centre and the Principality Stadium in Wales.
They'll be asking to go home if they do that. So, and we can pay for those flights.
So that was fascinating about the Rwanda scheme, because The Guardian went down to the Channel to interview migrants. At the end of this, like, isn't this horrible piece, they had quotations from the three guys, I think from Sudan and Eritrea, talking about, you know, the Rwanda scheme, having heard about it, landing on the shores, all of whom said, if we knew we were going to go back to Africa, we would not have come. So it was a deterrent. And it was never allowed to be an actual functioning deterrent because, for pretty good reasons, my party got thrown out of government.
All right, well, there we go. Well, yeah, well, quite, yes.
We can agree on that.
Yeah, there was a lot wrong, to be fair. Not you personally, but...
They weren't all winners, let's be fair.
It's reckless for it to be thrown out so quickly. That was reckless.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, we've got to go, so, before I tell you what I've got coming up, it's your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a year. Yes, it's a massive migrant detention... No, it's the Great British Giveaway. It's £5,000 in your bank. And if you haven't got a mortgage or you don't pay anything anyway, we'll just give you 15 grand. Here's how.
We want to send some of those monthly financial stresses packing this August with your chance to be mortgage or rent-free for 12 whole months. We'll give you a cash lump sum that equals 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, right up to an amazing £20,000. We'll also throw in an extra £5,000 on top of that for good measure, because why not? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you. We'll give you £15,000 tax-free cash instead. What are you waiting for? Lines will close on the 29th of August. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Welcome back. And in tomorrow's Daily Telegraph, Britain is facing an autumn of discontent. We've got a load more newspapers as well. But next, very serious story this. Axel Rudiker-Barner has been given more privileges behind bars. Why? Well, apparently they want to bribe him to keep him on his best behaviour and to keep him happy. Stay tuned.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
So this story has caught my eye in the Times today. Teenage pupils are being given lessons in how to make a phone call.
Oh, God.
You've heard that right. This is from UCAS. This is the University Admissions Service. And basically, if you miss your university grades, you have to get on the phone to clearing and try and negotiate yourself a place at university.
Yeah.
Teenage pupils these days do not know how to do that, to pick up the phone and negotiate. So schools are having to run workshops where people are being taught, and I quote, how to say hello and knowing that you will need your UCAS
lost
number.
These skills? When has all this happened and why has all of this happened?
Because they don't make casual phone calls. You know how you just pick up the phone and be like, hi, how are you doing? How's your afternoon? They don't do that anymore. They just send texts or voice.
I disagree. This is a new thing.
Really?
I got my brother into university via clearing.
by phone because he was so broken about his grades.
Really?
That was in 1999. I rang them up and I got him into a better place than he was going to anyway, because there's so much rich pickings to be had in clearing, or there was in those days. Also got the son of the landlord of the pub I was working at. He flunked his grades as well, and I managed to get him in. So I don't think it's about confidence. It's just sometimes if you're going through clearing, it's usually because you haven't got the grades that you want, and you're probably a bit crestfallen.
No, I mean, generally they don't. I mean, I talked to some of my colleagues yesterday who were very young, and their form of journalism is to text and email. It is what it is, and that's what the skills of people of a different generation have.
My sports editor, old sports editor years ago, didn't like people who didn't bash the phones, and he called them phone hoverers.
Yeah.
And that was the worst insult you could have in the office.
Well, I remember when I first started in journalism, if you weren't picking up the phone and bashing the phones, you wouldn't come back the next day.
No, exactly.
You had to have made a certain number of phone calls.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Manager.
Welcome back. I've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages coming up. Find out why the Daily Telegraph says we're in for an autumn of discontent. Although, to be fair, I did think thought we were going to have a summer of riots. They didn't really happen, did they? But anyway, first, Southport killer Axel Rudy-Cabana has been given back prison privileges, including a TV and a DVD player, to encourage him to behave himself. Yep. In May, the murderer of 3 children allegedly threw boiling water at a prison guard, and now he's had his regime raised from basic to standard. What does all of this mean? It means that he now gets more money to spend in the canteen, plus more time out of his cell. The 19-year-old will even have increased access to workshops, the library and the gym. It's ridiculous, this, surely. Well, I'm joined now by a former prisons minister, Anne Whittaker. Anne, thank you very much. This just feels wrong.
Look, I think everybody needs to calm down. This man is in prison. He's in prison for about 52 years. He's going to have to live as other prisoners do. And there are regimes in our prison service specifically designed to encourage good behaviour, which is you can be on basic, which is what he was put down to after he misbehaved. You can be on standard, you can be on enhanced, and different privileges come with those.
To be fair,
of course he should, hang on, of course he should have access to courses, to workshops. What do you want him to do? Spend 52 years doing absolutely nothing?
Yes, I would. Well, I'd like to execute him, ideally. But in light of the fact that we can't do that, what I would quite like to do is just have him locked in a cell, fed through a hatch with no lights on forever.
Well, that may be the sort of London dungeon that you want. This country discarded that a long time ago. There are prisoners who, because they are exceptionally dangerous, are fed through hatches and are only visited by 4 prison officers at a time. No one would go in on his own. And that is quite normal. But, you know, you've got 52 years and some sort of normality is going to have to be produced for everybody's sake, for the prison officers' sake, for other prisoners' sake, for everybody's sake. Normality has to reign in our prisons.
The thing is, I mean, you know, he got 52 years because he slaughtered 3 girls and tried to kill countless more. And then since he's been in prison, he's allegedly thrown boiling water over a prison officer as well. Why does he deserve any kind of normality? You know, why should he be able to watch TV?
Well, the simple answer is that when he misbehaved, when he allegedly attacked an officer, like he did, he was put down to basic, which is those privileges were taken away from him. Now, if you then, and this applies to every prisoner, it's not just special to him, if you then conduct yourself in basic properly for a while, they'll move you up to standard. And you'll only stay in standard if you behave. I mean, that is what is meant by encouraging him to behave. If he misbehaves again, even if it's nothing as serious as chucking boiling water at somebody, even if he just misbehaves, breaks a rule, down to basic. That is how prison governors keep control.
Would you bring back the death penalty for Axel Rudikabana?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I have always argued that the death penalty, where the evidence is incontrovertible, where there's direct evidence rather than just circumstantial evidence, that the death penalty is morally acceptable, in my view. So my answer is yes.
No, Judge, I think it's interesting because, yeah, I suppose, you know, look, I genuinely have this view that I just would like his life to be as utterly miserable as possible. I mean, you mentioned the London dungeon there. Like, well, yeah, I would, but that's just my honest view, Anne. But I think it's also interesting that, obviously, you know, in an alternate world, you would have the death penalty as well for him. I do wonder, you know, the parents of the poor girls that lost their lives and the people who were injured and all that as well. I just wonder what they think of this when they see stories like this, that he's got a DVD player or his television, or you might have a games console or something. For someone as, I mean, the guy's evil, but for someone as weird as Axel Rudikabana, who clearly spent a huge amount of time in his bedroom on his own anyway, I just wonder, is he not probably perfectly happy with this setup? I mean, I don't think this is any different to the life he really had on the outside, is it?
Well, we don't know that for a certainty, but the life on the outside, he was a free man. He could go where he wanted to go. The punishment that society has inflicted is that for 52 years, by which time he will be an old man, 52 years, he will have no liberty at all. He will be in a prison. He will have to stick to the rules. If he doesn't stick to the rules, he'll be penalised. If he does stick to the rules, that will be recognised in the regimes. It is important, in my view, A, to get him off drugs, because I'm sure that was part of the problem. B, to get him into some normal routine with the workshops, and to try, for the sake of everybody there, to have some normality. Now, I'm sorry you don't agree, but you know, neither I nor I think any political party or any serious political party in Britain actually wants to go back to bread and water, and chance.
No, and as you well know, I have an immense amount of respect for you, and there's no personal animosity here whatsoever. And you know, I am not in politics, which probably gives me the luxury of being able to say, you know, the kind of more hang 'em and flog 'em approach is something that I'm perfectly happy to endorse.
I'm all for hanging.
Yeah.
I'm all for hanging.
That's interesting.
But I've also been prisons minister, Patrick. That is the difference. I know the day-to-day problems that prison governors face. I don't want to make it harder for them.
OK. All right, Anne, thank you. It is always a pleasure. Take care. Anne Widdecombe there, former prisons minister. Right, coming up... yes, I've got all the front pages. Daily Mail, apparently they are going off on all-time high for asylum claims. The Sun, they've got Mum's Home. It's about Lucy Connolly. She's been released from prison. The Daily Telegraph have gone for an autumn of discontent. We'll find out exactly what they mean by that. But now here's your travel weather.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations forecast.
Hot and sunny conditions continue across much of Spain and Portugal. A few heavy showers likely in Croatia. A fairly brisk wind blowing in Sardinia. Quite breezy too in southern parts of Portugal. But most of Spain and Portugal dry, fine and sunny. Just a small chance of a shower in Ibiza. Much greater chance of seeing some heavy showers across Croatia. Fine and sunny for most of the Greek islands and Turkey. That will continue through the weekend as well. Goodbye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations forecast.
Good evening, I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, it's a case of chasing the cloud, because where it clears overnight, it's going to turn a little chilly, and where it clears tomorrow, it's going to be quite warm in the sunshine. Currently, there is high pressure of sorts to the west of the UK. This is keeping things pretty settled. It has also brought that northerly flow down the North Sea, which has led to a bit of a chilly feel around eastern parts through today. And it's also leading to a fair bit of cloud across central and eastern parts overnight, albeit parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent, having some clear skies. Also clear skies for western parts of Scotland, Wales, maybe southwest England. And under these clear skies, temperatures could drop in rural spots to low single figures, but most places under the cloud holding up in double digits, and some milder, cloudier, perhaps even damper weather pushing across Northern Ireland later on in the night. Starting off tomorrow morning, where we get the clear skies overnight, there could be some mist and fog patches first thing, but these will quite quickly clear. Otherwise, it's a bright start for some, but quite cloudy in a few other places. Cloudy across Northern Ireland, much of northern England, and across central and eastern parts of Scotland, quite a cloudy start. A bit brighter towards western parts of Scotland, albeit with a few showery outbreaks around the Western Isles, perhaps. Then, as we go through tomorrow, I'm expecting some of the cloud to break up, so most of us should see some bright, if not sunny spells developing. Not everywhere, though. Cloud staying quite persistent across parts of Northern Ireland and down the eastern side of northern England and perhaps eastern parts of Scotland too. Where the cloud does clear, though, temperatures should rise relatively nicely. We're looking at highs around 23, possibly 24 Celsius, so feeling warm, perhaps a bit warmer than today. Then, as we go into Saturday and the start of the long bank holiday weekend, there could be a few showery bursts, particularly across some western parts, but most places staying dry, and there will be some decent sunny breaks on offer as well. Perhaps more sunshine developing as we go through Sunday and into Monday, and with that, temperatures rising as well. Whatever you're up to, have a lovely evening.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, just like week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
OK, welcome back, everybody. Let's deal with all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Let's start with the Times. Hotels for migrants face a wave of protests. I think this is the 26 protests at least have been organised for, I think it must be the weekend, this. So there we go. The Daily Mail is all-time high for asylum claims. 111,000 migrants joined the queue under Starmer. Now, their picture story is a picture exclusive, as she's freed after 377 days in jail for tweeting about the Southport attack, the inside story of Lucy Connolly's prison torment. So there you go. The Daily Mail appear to have got the scoop there from Lucy Connolly. The Sun, Mum's home. Riot tweet Lucy free after a year in jail away from her daughter, who's just 12 years old. The Daily Telegraph, Britain facing an autumn of discontent. So they've gone for walkout by tube staff, overpay. We've covered that tonight. GPs are out as well, aren't they, I think? Nurses, resident doctors, they're out. So they're talking about strike Armageddon is the winter of discontent. The picture story there is of Queen Camilla, the sport of queens, they say. She's been to York races. And a famine has apparently formally now been declared in Gaza cities. Quotes, catastrophic conditions. Let's go to The Guardian. The Guardian... Oh, sorry, it's not The Guardian, that's my fault. The Independent, apologies. Migration UK, how the numbers really add up. So they've gone, news that asylum claims have hit record high will be seized upon by critics of Britain's migration policy. But the figures also record a reduction in the appeals backlog. Yeah, see, where have they gone then? Right, we've approved them, haven't we? So that's that. OK. Next, we've got The Eye. Starmer faces growing unrest over record asylum claims. Let's just finish off, I think, one more. Have we got one more? The Metro, yeah, 111,000. Record asylum seekers' rights. I mean, that is absolutely leading all of the front pages. We led with it at 10 p.m, so maybe let's give ourselves a little bit of a break from that. Well,
Let's go to the Telegraph top right.
Go on, then.
English and maths GCSE resits could be scrapped.
Yeah.
Now, this, I think, is a real example of the Labour government saying, you know, OK, well, not enough people are passing, we're just going to scrap compulsory resets. You have to have English and maths in order to succeed in the world. All they are doing is signing up a future generation to sit on benefits and be unable...
40% of kids failed English.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's a problem with teaching.
Well, it's 40% didn't get an A to C. It's not failed.
We're not calling them HC anymore, are we?
Oh, yes, I'm old. What are these called? It's still called something else now.
I can't remember. But scrapping compulsory research means that there is a lack of seriousness that will be taken with these exams because they don't have to do it again in order to progress. This is setting up a whole new generation for people who will be unable to be employed without maths and English, and they will sit on universal credit. And this is what Labour does when they fail to meet targets that are the right targets.
I'm sorry, I completely disagree with this. So,
well, Reform would do it too, see?
Well, I completely disagree. So I can think of many people in my area that everybody looks up to, entrepreneurs, business people, and they will tell you they've got hardly any exam results to their name. Now, I'm not saying for a minute English and Maths GCSE isn't helpful. I think it's good. And whilst you're at school, you should apply yourself to try and get there. There are just some people that won't get there. And it's not us giving up on these people, but you give them a market stall, they'll be a millionaire in a decade. That's the sort of people that hate this sort of thing. And actually, we allow the education system to judge. I was at the Ongar Academy today, results day, in my ward, and I was chatting to people, and they're all delighted with their results. And you ask them what their results are, and I know some of the results are far less than what I got, but I'm delighted for them because it's their achievement. Not everybody is an academic. And actually, to get a C in maths and English isn't the easiest thing in the world.
Minimum standards are important.
I've actually got a lot of sympathy for people with maths, and I'm aware I did a segment earlier on where we had this debate and everything like that, and I think maybe I just want to be clear. I've got much more sympathy for people when it comes to maths, but English, I have less sympathy for because we are in England.
Yeah.
So how do you not do well in that?
Well, the consideration has got to be, I think, twofold with this particular generation.
Unless you've got dyslexia or something.
The first is COVID. Yeah. This is the COVID generation of GCSE. These are the kids who were the most harmed by that year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
The second consideration is I think we have to look at teaching standards.
That's the uncomfortable thing, isn't it? So,
and that means grappling with the teaching unions, which the Labour Party are not going to do.
What do we do about this?
Well, I mean, if you dig down into this story, it seems that a lot of this is about resits for those who compulsory resits for those who don't get what was an A to C in my day, whatever it's called now, and then want to go on to education between 16 and 18, and therefore they are quotes forced to resit it. It actually appears that a lot of schools and colleges you fail in June and they're putting people back in November. So they're not giving people time to actually improve their skills during it. And there may be other ways of testing their minimum standards. So it's not saying that you don't have to have minimum maths and English skills, just doing it in a different way.
I'm slightly concerned now, maybe I've come across a bit insensitive, but I think the English thing just annoyed me because I was like, well, what does that imply? Does it imply that we've got a load of people who don't speak English as a first language and they're not bothered to learn it?
Yes, that will be it.
That's what grinds my gears. I'm not saying that people who've got dyslexia...
It's actually white working class kids are the worst performers, which is why the government is putting a big emphasis on improving education in some of our more deprived white communities.
One thing I will say, and sorry, I did say this before, but I will say it again if you're just tuning in for this hour, if you happen to have got your GCSE results today and it didn't go your way, I will just say this, I actually think Jamie makes a good point, that you don't... No one's going to ask for your GCSE results in 10 years' time. No one's ever asked me for mine. I know that's not really the attitude, and your parents might want to say something different, all that, and I do get that. And you should try harder, and maybe you should have done a bit better. OK. But no one in 10 years' time is going to be sitting you down and demanding to know what your GCSE results are. You've got a chance now to kick on again, do the next right thing, and improve. So whatever, I'll just say that. But anyway, let's just have a little look at the Times. Hotels for migrants face a wave of protests. This is a kind of new line. I mean, I know this, but apparently we're going to get something like 27 or 26, I think, protests at the weekend. Well, Jamie, last time I saw you, you were at the Epping, the Bell Hotel in Epping. So how do you see this going, really? Because the other front pages are full of quite damning stats on illegal immigration. So it's not going to be a good weekend for the PM, is it?
Well, look, we had in Epping an awful situation where the hotel's right next to a school, as you saw yourself the other day. But also, we had a terrible situation where the council were saying they're doing everything they can, but they clearly hadn't, because they hadn't actually started the process of an injunction. Because everyone peacefully protested, it got the national headlines, it forced the council to do more, to actually do everything they possibly could. So protesting works when it's peacefully done, when your cause is significant. And, you know, as an Epping Forest resident, I will say to people across the country, if there's a hotel that needs to be closed in your area, peacefully protest outside it. Because as we've just seen with Epping, it wasn't the council, it wasn't the politicians, it was the people.
It's interesting.
But to give credit to the council, it also depends upon having a council that's willing to listen. I was at the farming protest in November last year, and we've seen no movement from the government. And this was a peaceful protest. well executed, cleaned up after by the protesters, which I think is unusual for central London protests, and no alteration. And this is going to devastate family farms. You have to have, at the other end of this, to give credit where it's due in Epping, you have to have a legislative body that's willing to listen.
And we did have the entire council, even the Labour Party councillor, did vote in favour of the council taking all action possible.
Well, that's quite interesting, because now we're even seeing some Labour councils get involved. I think Wirral and Tamworth, I think, are both trying to do the same thing. Yeah, so we're going to have, it looks like anyway, a weekend of protests. Is this going to be a nightmare?
Well, look, I think that the protests in a sense are unnecessary, because councils are. If the point of the protests are to encourage their council to stop to take the government to court over the local migrant hotel, then essentially pretty much every council is already doing that. So I mean, I think there are better ways to spend a bank holiday weekend. I think the government, has got the message, because the courts are giving it to it. Also, the government does want to get rid of every migrant hotel, but obviously it's trying to do it in an ordered way.
I'll just say one thing, though, that, this Raise the Colours thing that's been going on, and I'm aware of
the flags.
Raise it with the flags. Well, it spread, someone was sending me a picture of this, it spread to some very leafy parts of Cheshire, this, and I think when you lose the golden triangle, as it is, then you're in a bit of
your home turf.
I saw a really interesting tweet about that, as someone saying that, it's a sign of weakness to be wanting to promote it this much. It's a sign of an inferiority complex. And I think that is A, a legitimate thing to say, and B, truthfully acknowledging that there are people in this country who believe that this is a flag that we should be showing more, and we should be holding closer to ourselves and not lighting up Birmingham Library in the colours of other countries.
We're now the latest
development. Sorry. We're way over. We've got to get to the last second, so apologies about that. As interesting as this chat is, we're not allowed to drop the brakes. Coming up, we have the Guardian. Oh, grief! I wasn't doing this, was it? We've got the Guardian reveal 83% of Gaza's war dead are apparently civilians, and apparently Moscow has dealt a blow to the Ukraine peace talks. But hey, look, on a lighter note, you can be in this very studio on a Friday night. Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Got a lovely article on the Times Online about you and Maggie, your lovely dog, who is 17.
Yeah.
But I was reading, and I have to ask you, about what happens when the day comes when Maggie passes on.
Yeah.
You'd like to get her stuffed?
Well, the thing is, she's of stuffing size.
She's taxidermy. I'm not sure about this.
She's quite good. She's about the size of a fox. So she is, and she could just sit very nicely on the mantelpiece.
Oh, you wouldn't want her on your mantelpiece. Look at her.
But why?
Wouldn't it upset you too much?
No, it wouldn't upset me. It would make me feel quite good. I have got a bronze statue of her made.
Oh, I like that statue. I've seen that before, yeah.
And when it was made, you had her and the statue together, and you couldn't tell which was which, really. But they are. It's love. Dogs bring out the best love in you. It's an unconditional love. You'll never experience anything else like it, and it's that way back from me. That was 17 years ago.
Oh, look at her.
Do you think I look any different?
You haven't changed a dot. You haven't changed a dot. She's gone a little bit grey, hasn't she? But she's still smiling. And if we've got the pictures from yesterday, she's got a big smile on her face.
Because she's an adopted dog, I think she appreciates, the new home that she's got and the life that she was taken away from.
She's grateful, isn't she? I get that from her.
Well, I would. That's what I would like to think. That's what I like to think. And if you can, please adopt and do not shop.
Yeah, I'm in the market for a dog.
Yeah?
Yeah. After the honeymoon, I think we're going to start looking for a dog. That's the plan. So
But
maybe
honestly,
early next year.
Go round one of the homing centres, you know, just adopt.
But I'd want to take all of them home. That would be my problem.
Well, that could well
I'd
be
end
a
up with
problem,
50.
But what
Need a farm.
what a great choice to make.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Five hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News,
the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
OK, welcome back. Let's zone in on the Daily Telegraph's front page for tomorrow. Britain is facing an autumn of discontent. They go off, really, it's about strikes, I think, isn't it? So, who would like to lead us off on this? There were strong views on the strike action that was the USA. West Streeting is actually doing all right.
Yeah, so West Streeting has been pretty hard line on, I think, they're not junior doctors anymore, are they? They're resident doctors. He's been quite hardline on the resident doctors and their demands, which I think is a good thing. You know, they are demanding a return to like 2008 rates, which, as I understand, it goes back to before the Working Time Directive was introduced, and so they were working unbelievably uncomfortable hours.
The old days of kind of 20-hour shifts.
They're not demanding a return to those hours, which is good because they were insane and mistakes were being made.
Yes.
But West has been quite good on this, actually.
Well, there's actually quite an interesting line here in the Telegraph. So the walkouts, which we're expecting in tube staff, GPs, nurses, resident doctors, I don't know, binmen still, I think. The walkouts,
26 weeks in Birmingham?
Yeah. The walkouts threaten to overshadow Sir Keir Starmer's reported plans for a reset next month in order to prove that Britain is not broken. And that's true. Their latest attack line is that Nigel Farage and Reform keep saying that Britain is broken. They're talking Britain down. They're not really...
That's absolutely right.
Right. Well, then hang on a minute. You end up with everyone going on strike in the autumn. It starts to just look a bit minging, mate.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's tube staff, the resident doctors. I don't understand how GPs go on strike, because GPs work for themselves mostly, because they're GP-owned businesses.
They want more.
My
understanding of this is that they want more funding for their practices. So they
nationalise them.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually.
Nationalise them.
I agree with
absolutely.
It's an
absolutely insane system.
Yeah, you can't have this in the middle. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Well, if Reform UK had even dreamt to say that, we would be like already having stuff made up about our NHS policy. But what I think is really interesting here is that this is the sort of stuff I feel like you see towards the end of a government when everyone's had enough. You saw it with the Tory government. You know, everyone starts to have enough, start going on strike, start to prove that the government's lost control. This is happening just like literally just over a year since Labour have come into government saying they're going to fix all of these things. And I think it is just signs that actually this is whatever happens, this will be a one-term government.
Do you know the big difference here between this Labour government and previous Labour governments and what they're actually able to say versus what they're able to do? It's that in previous Labour administrations, when they've come in, they've been able to point to nasty Tories and austerity and they aren't spending any money and we're going to spend money, we're going to turn the taps on. The last Conservative government behaved like the man who broke the bank at Monte Carlo. They spent so much money. So the Labour government came in saying, we're going to fix everything. There's no money to fix it.
No. You got about 10 seconds.
I was just going to say, I think that the government has to hold the line and stand up, as to Sadiq Khan, against tube workers who want half an hour off the working week down to 34 and a half hours. Come off it, lads.
Is that what it is, then? They want half an hour off it?
And it's a 35-hour week at the moment, which is fine. That's what a lot of people, that's what most people do.
And a fairly impressive starting salary.
A fairly impressive starting salary, but at the moment they wanted to go down to 34 and a half. I mean, come off it.
Come off it, absolutely. All right, OK. Well, it's a good job that we've got another hour to get stuck right into all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. There's a lot to go at. We haven't even covered the Mirror yet. Strictly's been rocked by a scandal already. What could it be? Oh, probably sex stuff. And then we've got the Daily Express. Wheel Labour's day of shame on migrant figures. OK, we'll find out what that nonsense is. Stay tuned.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. I'm here with your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, it's a case of chasing the cloud, because where it clears overnight, it's going to turn a little chilly, and where it clears tomorrow, it's going to be quite warm in the sunshine. Currently, there is high pressure of sorts to the west of the UK. This is keeping things pretty settled. It has also brought that northerly flow down the North Sea, which has led to a bit of a chilly feel around eastern parts through today. And it's also leading to a fair bit of cloud across central and eastern parts overnight, albeit parts of East Anglia, maybe Kent, having some clear skies. Also clear skies for western parts of Scotland, Wales, maybe southwest England. And under these clear skies, temperatures could drop in rural spots to low single figures, but most places under the cloud holding up in double digits, and some milder, cloudier, perhaps even damper weather pushing across Northern Ireland later on in the night. Starting off tomorrow morning, where we get the clear skies overnight, there could be some mist and fog patches first thing, but these will quite quickly clear. Otherwise, it's a bright start for some, but quite cloudy in a few other places. Cloudy across Northern Ireland, much of Northern England, and across central and eastern parts of Scotland, quite a cloudy start. A bit brighter towards western parts of Scotland, albeit with a few showery outbreaks around the Western Isles, perhaps. Then, as we go through tomorrow, I'm expecting some of the cloud to break up, so most of us should see some bright, if not sunny spells developing. Not everywhere, though. Cloud staying quite persistent across parts of Northern Ireland and down the eastern side of Northern England, and perhaps eastern parts of Scotland too. Where the cloud does clear, though, temperatures should rise relatively nicely. We're looking at highs around 23, possibly 24 Celsius, so feeling warm, perhaps a bit warmer than today. Then, as we go into Saturday and the start of the long bank holiday weekend, there could be a few showery bursts, particularly across some western parts, but most places staying dry, and there will be some decent sunny breaks on offer as well. Perhaps more sunshine developing as we go through Sunday and into Monday, and with that, temperatures rising as well. Whatever you're up to, have a lovely evening.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, I've got a big hour coming your way. We are going to give you the inside story from the Daily Mail on life in prison for Lucy Connolly. It looks like they've got the scoop on this. You will not have to buy a copy of tomorrow's Daily Mail, because we're just going to do it for you right now. The Daily Telegraph say that Britain is facing an autumn of discontent. Strikes. The Sun also got off the Lucy Connolly story, but pretty much every other newspaper is talking about an awful set of migrant numbers for Labour, culminating in vast numbers of protests taking place this weekend. Find out where.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness.
You've won £54,321.
Please don't joke. This would change my life.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how, and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind.